You know, Kristin, I'm Laura. We're your poultry specialists for the county and have been for a long time. So, how many of you have birds now? You have birds, you have birds. Yeah, you have birds. So I assume after you've finished with all the information on this, are the rest of you thinking of getting birds at that point, or is this?
I'm picking mine up at like 4.
Wonderful. Where are you getting your birds from?
We were gonna get chicks from Tractor Supply, but I found someone with extra pullets.
Oh, perfect.
So they're like 10 weeks, and
Ooh, nice.
Perfect.
I have a 2-year-old, and I don't want chicks in the house.
Oh God,
Yeah.
no. And your 2-year-old will want to hold them all the
He's
time.
got chickens at daycare, and that's his favorite thing to do is
Uh-huh.
play with chickens.
Oh yeah. Been there, done that. Okay, so do we need to go over how to introduce your birds, your new birds, into the coop?
Yes.
You do. All right. So Kristin and I both have our own specific ways that we do this. You want to share how you do it? Do you just throw them in and
The thing about chickens that's interesting is that they can recognize up to 50 other chicken faces. So if you go over that number, they get really stressed out because they can't keep track of everybody. And under that number, when you introduce somebody new, they know it. I do generally, I'm very Darwinian kind of about things. I'm going to stand over here in the corner so I can face everybody.
Sure.
Ooh.
Okay.
Um,
I'm in the way. I'm in the way.
So-
Okay, I'm moving.
I do tend to, once it gets dark, I will put a new bird. If it's an adult bird, a fully adult bird, I will put it in the coop with the rest of the birds and let them work it out. I've never had any serious injuries. So it's worked for me. The recommended way to do it, and if you have the time and the facilities, is to get a separate cage and put the bird in a cage in with the other birds so that they can see each other and kind of interact physically without actually damaging each other. And then you can, after a couple of days, you can start introducing them to each other during the day in a controlled environment. And then once it looks like everything's going to be okay, you can open it up. So those are two of your options. The age, your birds should probably be about 2/3 grown before you try and introduce them to the rest of the flock, just because they're going to be at the bottom of the pecking order. And when they're that small, any smaller than that, they can get really hurt. So that's my way. And Laura?
What about if you're just starting fresh? So like right now mine are in the laundry room and I'm ready to get them outside for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But I have read somewhere it should be like no lower than 50 degrees at night. Is that correct?
What kind of birds are they?
Black Star, Red Star, and Americana.
Okay.
And they're 7 weeks old.
Okay, they're fully feathered. I mean, if they have a fully enclosed area to go into at night, I wouldn't worry about it at all. So,
Yeah. And they certainly don't need heat now, and they should be fine in a coop that does not have any other birds in it. At this time. Other questions? So I do mine pretty much the opposite of Kristin, only because it's worked for me. And we both have found ways that it's worked. Mine is I put the birds that I'm trying to introduce into a current flock in a crate with food and water, and I put the crate into the coop and let the birds, the resident birds, cycle around looking at all the little bird faces. And after about 2 days, I wait till it's night, I open the door of the crate so that the birds can come out in the morning, but if they get frightened by the other birds, they will run back into the crate. It doesn't give them a lot of protection, but it gives them just enough that it's fine, and that's worked for me. So 2 different ways. They both work. It's what you have time for, and how much it's. I guess a lot of it depends on how old your birds are, how many current residents you have in your coop at the time.
You know, and once you've had enough of them, the temperaments of the different breeds plays into it too.
Good
Because
point.
you get more aggressive, more flighty breeds are going to be more offended by a new member than if you've got Cochins or something that's really fluffy and mellow.
Can we touch on what's a flighty breed?
Oh yeah,
Have at it.
Mediterranean. I can read you the whole list. They classify breeds kind of by geographical areas, and they're very broad, like Mediterranean or Oriental, Asian. Mediterranean or Leghorns. We have lots of people have Leghorns. Those are the ones that almost everyone has. No one would recognize the rest of them. But they tend to be anything that's a Mediterranean breed, and the Leghorns are a big one, tend to be rather flighty.
Does flighty mean aggressive?
Flighty mostly means that you come into the coop and they try and fly through the roof.
Okay.
So they're very nervous. But they also tend to be, because of that, they tend to be a little more reactive and would be a little more concerned about new birds in the flock. So
Are there any breeds that can't be in the same flock?
there are, but they're very unusual. There's some Malaysian breeds, like they're called Asils, and they stand about this tall. They look like raptors. I mean, they're scary. They look like dinosaurs.
Oh, let's show a picture. We
And
got it. We got
They
pictures.
are born.
Oh, they're just
They're like
scary.
hyenas. They're born with so much testosterone in them. They fight as soon as they hatch. So you have to keep them all separate. But they're really cool looking.
They're eggs.
We've seen them in shows, and they
Eggs,
have to
not
literally
so big.
padlock the cages so that the judge can't get in, because they'll really hurt you.
Okay. So this is an Asil. That's a female, and I don't know why there's no male. Kubelayas are in the same family,
But it's tall.
but they're very tall. They can be huge. I mean, this bird, this is the female, but if it was a male, I mean, they are phenomenally huge. And the one that we saw, they literally had to lock the coop it was in because it would throw itself against the door of the coop. Oh, I'm sorry, you're over there. Can you see that okay? This is the female Asil. And literally,
Two of our kids, mine was one of them, in the club wanted. We were at a show in Great Falls, and one of the exhibitors, who should have known better, he was a Cistercian monk, had some of these things.
seriously.
Brother Phil, and he
No, it's true.
and then the boys were like, "Oh, we want some of those," and we were like, "Okay, Phil, you can take their contact information, but you know what to do with it."
Yeah, can you see that? I mean, you wouldn't have anything left on your property because the seals would have eaten it all.
Well, I could go next door and then go after the neighbors' dogs and stuff, which wouldn't
well, there you
necessarily
go.
be a
There's
bad
a
thing.
use.
So. But yeah, those are there. But there are some very unique ones. The other thing, so I'm trying to remember. If I have very small bantams, I won't put them in with my big standards. Like if I've got Ceramas, which are a very tiny bantam breed, they'll have their own cages. I don't think they're in there yet, are they?
Oh, I don't. Well, this is.
That's
well,
the new one?
No, it's not. But let me look.
I don't have a new one.
Look. It's a bantam.
They're pretty cool. If you're looking for small birds for your kids, Ceramas are a really, really good breed because they're about that big. And they're really mellow. They were actually bred in Malaysia to be house birds. That doesn't make them
Seriously,
smell any less like a chicken, but they're very small.
The poop is at least cute enough to be excused.
I like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this one doesn't have it, but Sarama's, yeah.
The white ones are in the standard now.
Is this the new? Oh,
No, that's an
2010.
older one probably.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Find one in here.
since we went down that rabbit hole, does anyone have trouble getting their birds into the coop at night? Does anybody worry about it?
Give them tips on it.
A lot of times what you can do is train them. You treat train them, and it's like when it's time to go to bed, you put the treats in the hen house, and everyone goes in the hen house and you lock them up. And most of them should follow that. There's every once in a while you get a rebel who's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to roost up in the hay barn tonight. And you net them every night and put them in. Hopefully eventually they figure it out. Or you have your birds so that they never are free, if they're not free range, and you've already got them in like a covered run. There's really nothing to worry about, because they'll all go into roost when it gets dark because they don't like to be on the ground, because they know they're vulnerable. So they like to roost, and they'll always go in when it's getting dark and roost up.
I found who the boss is, and then if I get her in, they
Yes.
all follow.
Uh-huh.
Bertha. Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get much out of that, but you can try.
See if I can get this big enough. Here's a Sarama. I puffed it up way big, but you can see.
Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
That's really nice. So.
Oh,
but
he's beautiful.
Yeah, so that's a Sarama, and how much do they weigh? They're not even they're like what, 6-8 ounces
Yeah.
or something?
Uh-huh.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is the little one.
Oh, that's it. That's full grown.
And
is
they're
full grown.
they don't judge them the way you judge a regular chicken. A normal chicken, you judge it by its plumage, and and the color of everything. And these you judge by their behavior. They do what you call tabletop judging, and you take your bird and you go like this to kind of get it ruffled, basically, and then you drop it on the table. And what you want is a bird that stands like this, with those wings down and kind of puffs out and struts. They do this. They do this little Nazi march like you would not believe.
That's so cool. I want to see one of those next to one of the other ones. Like
They're minute. They're just
they're
minute.
Just, put that next to a seal.
when it lasts long. Oh my gosh, they're so.
Oh yeah, and
But they're only.
only
He's
like
probably
this tall.
He's maybe this big.
They are
Wow.
full grown.
Okay.
They
full
look like
grown.
kitchen decorations.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Napoleon.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're full of it. And in Malaysia, they describe the breeds more by how their physique, how they're shaped. This one would probably be called an apple. Because of, but they're a hoot. They're just a hoot, and they're really social. They love people.
Yeah, they're just
I highly recommend them. They're a lot of fun. The hens are really good. They're very broody. They're the only, well, not the only, but they were the first birds that I successfully had rear their own chicks, and they did a great job because they hatch them out, and they're so funny when you have a mama bird and they fluff way up, and the chicks just like burrow up into their feathers and under their wings, and I could pick this little tiny chicken up, and I could go like this, and all these babies would fall out. So, it was so funny.
So did we get the getting them in at night? Did we finish that?
Well, we've sort of been
Working
talking
on
about it. So what do you do?
Well, I have mine trained that I bring a bucket out of kitchen scraps. And even if I don't have any chicken scraps, I still bring the bucket out because they are visual on the bucket. And I'll just go, okay, girls, come on, it's time to go in. And I'll shake the bucket, and they usually will just go, whoo, and they're in waiting for whatever it is. And so I usually, if I don't have anything, I usually try to grab maybe like a little bit of scratch and just throw it in as a little treat to tell them, good chickens, good chickens. And that's how I get mine in. And I've been doing it for years. and it works. And it's just basically, they'll do just about anything for food, as you know. And that's a good way to do it because they think you're getting something special. So that's my
Yep.
way. And
And the other training them like that is real for out here is a really good way to go because I don't want to stay up until 10:30 at night when it gets dark and my chickens go to bed by themselves.
I don't.
So-
I don't. Hey, I do want to show something. Okay, so this was a thing I learned a long time ago, because you know chickens are going, because they're prey. You know, their eyes are on the side, not in the front. So they're always going to be looking for overhead predators too, as well as other things. So if I really want my birds to go in, where do one of those chickens go? Geez, when I want them and they're gone. Okay, so it's, if you do this, okay, come on. You're supposed to be afraid of me. Come on. So you act like you've got wings, and you just kind of go, brrr, brrr, and you just kind of, and they'll go, and you can.
And usually it works.
Usually it works, except these are too darn cheerful and spoiled.
They're nowhere near nervous enough.
It does work when they all are. They need to be herded.
Yeah. So that's just something you can use the flapping arms, and they think it's something coming
got a
in,
worm.
and they will move away from it. So that's just an idea.
So that's like part of your daily chore is they got to go in at night. Right?
Oh yeah, you have. Otherwise, you won't
Yeah,
have any.
yeah. I have a bachelor pen with one Muscovy and a giant. Well, there was a giant rooster in it, and I forgot to lock them up one night, last week, and something got the rooster. So this is the time of year between now and about the middle of June, because now everything's waking up. They're getting ready to have babies, so they're hungry, and between the cat food route they have around the valley, I'm sure, there's also all of the poultry and stuff that they go after. And then beginning to the middle of June is when they're starting to feed their babies something other than milk, and they'll come back. And that's when you have problems during the day, because they're really desperate to find food for their, it's usually the foxes that'll come in. They'll come over, because a fox can jump a 6-foot fence. It cannot get over the 6-foot fence with a chicken in its mouth, but I know. But they can jump a 6-foot fence. So during the day, if you have your chickens out, they need to be in some place like that, really short grass, not like the pasture that's this tall, because they get ambushed really easily. I've gone out in the morning and I have 6 chickens, and I go out in 4 in the afternoon and I have 2 chickens. So
And it's during the day. This is not just a night thing. This will happen during the day.
yeah,
So
I mean, the only way you can really manage predators is to get one of the livestock guard dogs. They work. I know that. I don't have one, but I do know that they work because I have friends who do have one.
What did you say, sir?
The livestock guard dogs, like the Kuvash and stuff like that.
what kind of dogs?
The livestock guardian dogs that all have those strange Eastern European names like Kuvash.
Oh, I thought okay, perfect. I won't tell you what I was thinking.
What were you thinking?
Oh, something like a chihuahua.
No, that's what I've got. I'm sure he'll chase anything. I don't know if he'd come back.
He'll try.
Okay.
Okay.
What was that? What am I hearing? Am I hallucinating?
Upstairs.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh, good. Okay, I just thought I was coming off the deep end here. Are there other questions about getting your birds in and why?
Oh, this Sunday, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, it almost sounded like
Sort of.
Almost.
thunder,
Kind of.
but that's okay.
Picking up your birds?
Oh, about picking them up?
Yeah, like tips on how to pick them up safely.
Okay. Well, first of all, your birds are so darn friendly. Well,
We'll see.
There's one right behind you.
Oh, is there? Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to get her. Come here, sweetheart. Come here. Oh, there's a good girl. Okay, so that was easy.
Like that.
When
This is
this is how I got myself in trouble the last time. So when you're picking your birds up, and this is really good that you got these here. So I'm gonna do a little 101 on
want me
this.
to hold it so you can
Yeah,
like
would you?
clearly demonstrate what you're doing?
Okay. Okay. So I just picked her up when I'm wrong
I'm
end. So when I'm picking her up, I always want to support her. This is her keel bone, and I always want to support her keel bone and get my fingers so that I've got
Like
both.
this.
Yeah, exactly.
One around one leg. This is one side, one on the outside, on the other side.
Yeah. So however it works. What?
The way you're holding, it's just amazing. The way you're holding the chicken.
Yeah, she's not flapping at all.
No, and she won't. And if she was, all I do is that. Put it
And
right
now you
on
have,
top.
when you do this, when you like this, you have complete control over the bird.
Yes. You really do. And it's also safer for the bird, and it's more comfortable for the bird because they know that you are holding them where they are not going to fall. So you notice she's not panicking. Now, Kristin, if Kristin and I were just picking our birds up at home and we did this, we would go, okay, well, let's look for mites. Let's look for issues. Not that I'm trying to find mites, but okay. But so I'm looking
Let's take a
under
look.
the wing. Go ahead. Go
The
ahead.
years you've been handling chickens, it's very evident in this
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I really don't have any fear of birds at all.
I pick it up, I'm like,
Yeah, and that's okay. If you're comfortable and your bird's comfortable and it works for you, just don't hold them by the 1 foot or something.
They look real clean.
Yeah,
she's like, I'm fine, whatever.
yeah. Okay, so Kristin was checking the vent for mites.
This is like the epicenter. Of,
Yeah,
of
this is
external parasite
Yeah, if
activity-
you're gonna
activity.
find mites, you're gonna find them on the vent.
She didn't know she was
The
going.
vent.
The other places we look.
That's gonna be a
Yeah.
poster now.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Just get my face out of it, please.
So the other places we look for bugs, of course, are under the wings. I frankly have never found bugs under the wings.
I have.
The other
But that
place
was
that
a
you
bad
find them, and it seems to be associated more with the black feathered breeds, is the neck feathers.
Yeah.
Your hackle feathers. You'll get them in here too.
And you'll see them. Have you ever seen mites on birds?
Yeah, it's the first.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we
her-
didn't bring any birds this time because you've got birds here and we didn't want biosecurity things.
Amazing.
Okay, so another place to look is the thigh, the inner thigh. It's really warm in here. It's comfy. It's nice. It's a perfect home for mites. So if you are checking, always check the
And
thigh.
then scaly leg mites.
Yeah, and yeah, good point.
Because that's something, I don't know if you'll be
Oh,
getting
I
them
got one
here.
with really bad scaly leg mites. but at
Is
home,
this
but-
any here?
No, that's
No,
just
that's
dirt.
just old. Okay.
That's just dirt.
So,
You're fine,
When you get to the
sweetheart.
legs, what you can get is something called scaly leg mites. And of course, this is where they live, is on the legs underneath the scales. And if you get scaly leg mites, you can tell because the scales tend to stand up because the frass, the bug poop, builds up underneath and pushes them. So to treat it, what you need to do is like slather them with Vaseline to suffocate the mites and to soften the scales, and then you can go in and you can clean it out, and the scales, after you put it on for a couple of days, will soften up enough that you can actually start pulling the old scales off. And then you have to, how long do you treat them?
Oh, I treat them till it's a while because
Yeah.
you're also dealing with any eggs that are going to hatch again and start the process all over. So it's got to be for a couple of weeks that you're treating every 5 days. Slap it on, Vicks,
Yeah.
Vaseline, whatever. Except some things that will not stick, like I would love to be able to use coconut oil, but I can't because it just you're fine. You are just fine.
It just comes off.
Yeah, it just rolls, and you
So,
don't want that.
Yeah,
It's gotta be
this
viscous.
is of all of the parasitic infections they can get. The leg mites are the biggest pain in the butt.
What about lanolin?
No, because it's going to slide off. It's just not viscous enough to kill.
Unviscous.
Or unviscous.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Viscous and unviscous. Whatever.
Viscous
you
is
know what
runny.
I'm saying.
So yeah, so the bottom line there is when you are buying adult birds, make sure you look for this condition because you really don't want to bring it home.
Oh God, yeah, it's a nightmare.
It's
It
such a
is
pain.
a
It's
nightmare.
the most labor intensive of all of the things you have to treat on a bird. So
Is it really common?
Yes.
it is.
Yeah.
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 And if you bring it home, if one bird has it, then they probably all got it.
Yeah,
So
it's kind of like a kid with a cold. You know, your kid has a cold. Nobody else has it yet. Somebody's going to end up with. It's the same thing with the mites. They're just so invasive. And
Is there something that you can do to prevent it?
you should be able to. There's the poron ivermectin.
oh,
right.
for leg mites, there is. You can, and this is just. You can use this.
Not
And
on the leg mites.
Yeah. So here's what you do. You put this on before you put on the Vaseline. So what you've done is you put in a insecticide.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. And then you slap the Vaseline or the Vicks on top of it. So it smothers them, plus you also have the benefit of the insecticide.
I think the other way you can do it, and I have not done this, is you can use the porons like you do for dogs and cats, and they work the same way on a chicken. And that should get rid of and prevent lice and mites.
Say it again.
The poron stuff like you put on dogs.
Oh yeah, that would work. Yeah, yeah. But
I'm not sure what the dosage is.
Yeah, be very careful. Just because it says it's a insecticide and it's safe on animals does not mean that it is safe on chickens because it may be too potent.
I think you can run if you use the size chart, and you do for a very small dog.
Or large chicken.
No, if you just use a
Small-
very
yeah,
small
I
dog
know.
dosage, that the smallest dosage they've got, that you would be fine.
And those are for just like leg mites or any
It should
mite?
treat all external parasites.
Yes.
Because the leg mites do feed on bodily fluids, right?
Yes.
So yeah, they would
Yes.
get them. They would get it as well.
So
We're just old school, and these things weren't available to us when we really got into the habits that we developed and are entrenched. So
yeah, ditto, ditto. I mean, it works. It works, but we're always open to new ideas. So, but we're
I'm saying
giving you.
that is a new idea, and we're
Okay.
old school.
Got it. Okay. So, are we done with mishandling the bird?
The poor bird. Yes.
For the free doctors visit.
Okay. Okay. I thanked her.
Hey.
No, don't run away with my. Okay. All right. So feed. Let's talk about
Did we do
feed.
feed? Oh no, we haven't done feed yet.
No, we haven't done
Okay.
feed yet. I promise.
So
we'll
I
get
have
to everything.
I've got a handout wandering around that's got the feed charts on it.
Oh, I'm glad you did, because this is something else I had printed out.
Because like I said, there it is. This one. This one right here.
Okay. So which one? Which one are you? Oh yeah, that one. That
This
one.
one I
is
really
good.
like. This is a great article. It's the University of California Cooperative Extension. I'm sure it's still available online. It may not look precisely like this anymore. I hope it doesn't. But this was just a really, really good overview of what you need at different points in the
Look,
process.
I got a second one. Somebody take pictures. You know, if you want to photograph the information.
But we've got, it gives you the types of feed you need for starter, grower, layer, all-purpose, and for meat birds, and the ages at which you feed the different types of feed, and how much they're going to eat for every 10 birds for the period of time that you feed them. So like for chick starter, you want a 20 to 22% protein from 0 to 6 weeks of age, and 10 birds are going to eat 20 to 29 pounds of feed of chick starter, which is great because I'm really bad at estimating that stuff. And then like your layer, you feed them 15 to 18% layer feed from 20 weeks of age on. And 10 birds are going to eat 18 to 24 pounds per week. So, a 50-pound bag will last you 2 weeks if you have 10 birds.
And I've got a open bag for teenagers over there. So
Okay.
Because we have layers now. So,
Oh, this
so
is
if anyone
great.
wants to take that home,
Cool.
they're welcome to it.
Well,
And then there's the crumble versus pellet debate that's always ongoing. I prefer pellets because they can't waste as much.
Do the tag.
I try and get really small pellets, and I think if you go on Chewy.com, they have a type that I really like. They're like in between a pellet and a crumble, and they're a perfect size if you have smaller birds and larger birds.
Yes, this is
I can grab some of our pellet too, and we can have.
Oh, that would be cool.
examples.
Yes.
yeah. Okay, so this is
You're buying
after 8 weeks of age, but this is not.
I
so
buy a
they
bag
need to
like
be-
every
so
2
this is
weeks
a
or so. But I
20%,
supplement with
and
a
I'm
lot of
just-
kitchen scraps. I've got.
lots
I go
of-
after
okay,
after
I'll let
Easter. I go to Walmart and I buy the generic Easter egg collector basket. The little
Oh, in it here. There,
the
that
little
way I
the
won't mess
the
it
little
up.
tubs that they've got with the handle because they're great for eggs and they're great for I can keep it on the counter and it doesn't build up too much before I can dump it.
Perfect. Okay.
I have questions about the food scraps. Is there stuff that you need to keep out of it that the chickens can't have, or is it mostly almost anything?
It's pretty much. I'll be honest. I've fed my birds things that you're not supposed to. Supposedly they're not supposed to feed them like citrus and stuff,
And
but they
chocolate.
don't eat it. Well, you're not supposed to feed anything chocolate.
Right. We eat it.
I know. I don't quite understand. I haven't solved that mystery yet.
But really, is chocolate going in the kitchen scrap bucket?
Yeah, no, it never makes it that far.
Good point.
But
Good
they'll
point.
eat meat. I'll give them if I've got old hard-boiled egg. If I make 2 dozen hard-boiled eggs, and everyone ate all of them in 24 hours last week, and they're not touching them this week. Any ones that are starting to look a little odd go in the feed bucket, and I mash them up, and I'll feed those to the chickens because they can't connect the dots on that kind of thing.
And then, is there a level of is mold okay? Is
No.
it okay if they're okay?
No.
like how rotten.
Yeah.
No. If you wouldn't eat it, don't feed it to your birds. Put it in your compost pile or throw it out if you have to.
Now, I've fed my birds a lot of moldy stuff, and I've never had trouble. Now, that being said, I do know people who have gotten salmonella in their flocks because of stuff like that. So it's up to you as to what your level of risk is. It's bad. It's always optimal. Yes. And then there are things you don't want to feed them. Raw potatoes. Nothing can eat raw potatoes. They have to be cooked. You can feed them cooked potatoes. Avocado. The peels are bad. They're toxic. They're highly toxic. The leaves of the plant are highly toxic. So those are a real no-no. I actually killed a rabbit that way once. It only took 24 hours. And one bite, and 24 hours and my rabbit was dead. And it took me years to figure out what had happened.
Well, good you knew, because I wouldn't have,
So, those are really the two things that I know of that you have to pay attention to that are maybe commonly going to appear in your kitchen scraps. So, and like I said, you're not supposed to feed them citrus, but mine won't touch it anyway. So it'll just sit out there until I finally clean the coop out and put it in the compost pile.
Another thing, a minimum, yes, but don't throw things that are heavily laden with sugar out. Sugar isn't really good for them either, not massive amounts. I mean, I wouldn't don't throw your cake out to your chickens. If you had a little bit, scraped off or something, that's fine. But think about if you eat it, is it good for you? Would you want to give it to your birds because they're producing the eggs you're going to eat. So just kind of put it into that context, and that's usually
I
helpful.
mean, like added sugar. If it's like your natural sugars.
Yeah. If you threw out, a plum or something
Yeah,
like
apples,
that.
bananas.
Apples. Well, yeah, banana. Yeah, not the peels. They want grapes. Oh God, they love grapes.
Watermelon.
Oh yeah,
You
and
take
then
a slice and you just leave the half and then
they'll go nuts. They'll even take the rind after you've cut all the melon off.
Yeah.
Throw the rind out there.
Oh, yeah.
They'll
They'll take
polish-
it down to the skin.
Oh yeah, easily, very quickly.
I have a question related to that.
Yeah.
Because we had older chickens. Now we have like just small chicks, but the older chickens would not eat our food scraps because I think they were used to eating pellets.
Oh yeah.
Oh, how funny.
So
Yeah.
we were thinking how we could like introduce these new chickens to eat more food scraps. Should right now they are like in a cage under the heat lamp, but
Okay, so they're young. I how old are they?
they're like not for now. They're like 4 weeks, but
Oh.
when they're in the coop, like,
Oh, when they're in the
should
coop.
we like feed them first the food scraps and then the pellets, or because
It doesn't really
that's
matter.
I think like they prefer pellets than food scraps. or-
Well, they're going to like
shouldn't.
the treat
A
of
good
the
chicken-
food
a
scraps.
good
The
chicken
food
shouldn't.
scraps are a big deal for them. So just know the food scraps are, think of it as a healthy treat. So even if they eat the food scraps, they're getting a lot of nutrition out of it. And then they're still going to eat their pellet ration, which is great because that's got all the other nutrients in it. So they're going to be just fine. And it really is. It encourages them, and they look forward to seeing you when you bring those little treats out, your kitchen scraps. So,
It took ours about a week of giving them kitchen. They didn't want them.
oh really?
What's wrong with our chickens? Right?
What happened with us with our chickens?
Yeah,
like, our
and-
old chickens.
And then we just were consistent about it, and we brought tastier things like spinach and bread and things that they liked more.
Yeah.
And then they got used to it, and then whenever we give them something, now they'll try it. So I think it took some training. Start with the tasty stuff. Start with grapes.
Yeah. And they get used to it, and they're going, wee!
Mentioning they can have grapes, because usually grapes is part on the no list because of the tannins. Like dogs can't have grapes.
Yeah.
But they can.
My dog loves grapes.
They're not supposed to.
Really?
Yeah, it's like chocolate. It's all the tannins.
Oh,
That's
really?
funny.
Okay.
He
I
loves
never-
grapes. He hates popcorn. I don't know what's wrong with my dog.
What is wrong with you? Is that
He's a
your-
Chihuahua.
Yeah.
That's probably what's wrong with him.
They're special.
Yeah.
We have a special dog.
The chickens can have grapes.
Yeah.
Chickens can have
Chickens.
grapes.
This is where I mean the chickens know what's bad for them for the most part, and they'll stay away from it. Like the bananas.
Dogs, no.
My
Dogs eat
bananas.
chicken poop.
My bananas go bad on the counter, and I take them out. And what I'll do is I'll split them open, and they'll eat all the guts out of them. They won't eat the peels. So it's fine.
No
They've
banana peels too then.
Yeah, because there's no nutrition in it.
my goat will eat the peels. He loves the peels.
Anybody want a goat? I've got somebody who's trying to get rid of goats.
Really, you do?
Yeah, we'll talk.
Do you?
Yeah, Marcia has her 2 goats. She needs
What kind
to,
are they?
that kind. That kind.
Okay.
Nigerian. I think they're Nigerian dwarfs.
I mean, someday.
Oh,
Okay.
dang.
We're renting right
Yeah,
now.
pull your
Okay.
car up. We'll load them up for you.
Yep.
Back it in.
So this article, we'll make sure y'all get a copy of this because this goes through everything that the birds need. Whole grain. It talks about table scraps. Yep. Calcium. Feed storage, feeding suggestions, water, and they give you a recipe for home feed if you want to make your own. So
What age can you start giving them scraps?
I'm like pretty much as soon as they'll eat it.
Yeah, but you want to make sure. The one thing I would say is with the really young birds, the really young chicks, try to keep them on a really healthy ration until they're big enough that they can easily eat any small kitchen scraps. Because you want them to get the full nutrition out of that, their specific ration.
So
that
we'll
they're
say
eating.
after they're 6 weeks old.
Okay, there we go.
because that's when when you change the feed to a lower protein feed.
Okay, so we did starter, grower, layer. Yeah, it's and I recommend when we're done here or we take a break, look at the label. There's a label on the crumbles over here. This is the middle grower, and then this one is the
Those are layer pellets.
layer pellets. Okay.
Yes.
And then look at the two tags on it because I want you to know how to read the tags on these so you know what your birds are getting.
Donated all that food. I told them I would plug them. They're great.
Who did it?
Axemen.
Oh, I thought that's
Cool.
great.
Yeah,
you know,
they're wonderful. So that's my plug.
if we
super
really need
generous.
to thank these different businesses that have supported us and being able to put this on. So do some of you were here when we went through all the diseases? Oh, are we done with food? I'm sorry. Are we done with
I have
food?
one more question.
Yeah, please, please.
Again, with the kitchen scraps, do you have to, like, is there anything you have to prepare? Like, I mean, like, cut it up or anything? Is anything too,
Like broccoli stem, like you're not. I always throw
Broccoli.
out the broccoli stems whole
They
because
hate
I'm
'em.
really lazy.
They hate.
But they don't eat it anyway.
They won't eat it. They won't eat it.
Yeah.
Now, yes, to cutting up something. I don't even give my dog the meat scraps off of our meat. So if I'm cutting extra fat and there's too much fat on the meat and I cut it off, I cut it up into chunks, throw it in a pot with some water, bring it to a boil so it's cooked through. The dog gets the broth, which is good. The rest of it goes to the chickens, but I've cut it up small and they fight over it.
Oh yeah.
So-
yeah, they run in stashes. You're like, oh, I got a piece.
they will. They will. They're just, and then they'll chase each other. It's quite the show. But that is a really good way. Instead of throwing any meat scraps out, do cook them. Never give it to them raw. I don't care how many bugs they like to eat. Don't give them raw meat scraps. So cook it. Then you can give it to them. Same thing with the bone. If you have a bone, you don't have a dog, let the chickens, they'll clean it off better than a bunch of, what are those beetles they use?
Dermestid beetles.
Dermestid beetles, the kind of that they use to clean the skulls for display. Yeah, they're even better than those.
Cooked or raw?
Cooked.
Again?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And you could do it the same way. Just drop it into some boiling water, boil it till it's cooked, and then you can give it to them. But when they're done with the bone, it's better to pick the bone, the clean bone up, and then throw it in the trash or wherever you dispose of things. Okay.
Okay.
Beep, 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 beep.
Are there any diseases that you'd like us to go over that you're unfamiliar with? Because we've talked about them before, but not all of you guys.
Yeah, and we
Or
don't
here.
mind going over them again. Does everybody know what the 4 main diseases that we put on here? Everybody's familiar with it? You're familiar with it.
I've read quite a few books before we
Okay, good.
decided.
So you're good on that. Anybody else?
I'm not.
Okay.
I guess I'm just curious, like, what are the things, I mean, you mentioned checking for mites, so
Yeah.
what are other things that you should do regularly just to check?
The mites are the big thing, and this time of year is when it's probably going to be the worst because they've been in all winter. So the mites have had a wonderful buffet of, changing chicken butts through the layer boxes and stuff like that. And everyone's been in a confined place that hasn't necessarily been cleaned on a regular basis. And so they tend to have, this is when their infestations are going to be heavier. And you'll see they're trying to build dust baths everywhere. And that's to help manage their external parasite load. As far as internal parasites go, really the only thing that we get out here is coccidia. And coccidia is a funky little endoparasite that damages the lining of their intestines. And You can get, this is the first plug is, you can get your birds, if you purchase them, if you buy them through one of the hatcheries, they will vaccinate your day-old chicks against coccidia and against Marek's disease. And if you do that, I strongly recommend that you get them vaccinated, because once the coccidia you're going to have to manage anyway, because coccidia is endemic in every flock, but every flock has its own particular strain or flavor, and new birds don't have the resistance to it, so you have to help them. And that's where you use this stuff. This is called Corid. You can get it at Murdoch's. You can get it at Axeman. It's got something in it called amprolium, and the dosage is 9.5 cc's per gallon. Yeah, and I used to have a.
Let me see this just for a second.
And it's an off-label application, so you're not going to find that on the instructions. And you do this you put this in their water for 5 days, and that will get them. It's not an antidote. It's like a management thing for them. It depresses the thiamine,
I don't remember what.
some amino acid that's essential to the coccidia to develop. So you don't want to give it to them for more than 5 days because it depresses their thiamine levels. But that will give them enough time for their insides to develop their own resistance. This is not something you want to get in your birds, because what happens is, even if they survive, particularly if they get it when they're very young, they starve to death. And they get big, they get taller and taller and longer and skinnier, and then they die. And it's really miserable to watch, because it's happened to me.
Not to you personally.
Yes, to me personally.
No, your birds personally,
Oh.
not your body personally.
Oh, you're splitting hairs again.
We were talking about rabbits.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Would you recommend vaccinating if you get chicks against salmonella? Or I know in other places they do that. No.
No, because they're a carrier,
Okay.
and you're just not. It's just wash your hands.
Okay.
Just wash your hands. Pretty much. Yeah, and then the Marek's is the.
I have pictures of what Marek's does.
It's here I have an article over here somewhere.
Isn't it like an avian herpes virus?
You're very well read. You know more than I do.
Marek's causes tumors, internal tumors that affect the body.
Yeah, it's
nervous.
a herpes virus.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's an you know more than I do. And once you have it in your flock, it's endemic, not just in your flock, it's in the ground. You cannot get rid of it. So you have to get birds. They can survive it, but if they do, they're carriers for life. You cannot sell them because they will just take it to their new flock. Yeah. It's real. I don't have a good picture. Do you have a good picture? The picture in here is not good.
Should wait. I've got.
Is it common or rare?
Oh,
It is common.
it's common.
It's common, but you really don't want to get it in your coop, because you have to move the whole. You'd have to physically move the whole thing. You'd have to, and not with the flock that you've got either. You'd have to cull your flock
no,
and
that's
start
it.
over.
So most people just get the vaccine.
Yeah.
For birds,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a really good picture of it in the Chicken Health Handbook. It's just right there.
Yes.
If
Yeah.
you
There's one.
do you
It's
mind?
It's,
Go
it looks
ahead
like
and
it's
just
doing
look
the
it up.
splits.
And
Here,
and it looks
and
like
that.
it looks like it's like.
Let's see.
without
I
knocking
might
this
have it
over.
here.
It's and they're alive. They can eat. They can drink. They just can't move, and they can lay there and be alive, eating and drinking, but just laying there because they can't move, and you have to dispose of them.
Oh wait, here we go.
unfortunately.
Okay.
And that's not my
Here. It's on page 287.
Yeah.
Getting the chicks and not having them vaccinated, but doing the medicated food.
That will
For the
only
amprolium.
that will only treat the coccidia.
That's what I was
Yeah,
wondering.
that's the only thing.
So still getting them vaccinated for the Marek's is important.
If you can,
It has
do
to be
it.
done. It has to be done at the hatchery.
Yeah, when
is
they're
the thing.
new hatched.
But this is what Merrick's looks like.
How do you know if they have coccidia?
oh, you'll know.
You'll know. They're miserable. They're pooping blood. They're very pale, and as they grow, they just start to lose weight.
And if you have it as chicks, the moment you see bloody poop, if you do not immediately get a sulfa drug, there is amprolium, there's a liquid amprolium that you can give the chicks. And if you catch it soon enough, you can offset any before there's damage done. But once they start bleeding blood, it's a bad sign. And they're going to be dead in 24 hours.
Yeah, your best bet with the coccidia is is to start your birds with this stuff, and just do it, like once a year for a week as a prophylactic. And it doesn't hurt them. And I've never had problems since. That was a very
Go ahead.
it was very traumatic.
She got the
Which
birds
one?
from me.
Oh no, that's from ILT.
Oh no, that's
Different
right. That
disease.
was ILT. Yeah, I
Different
gave her
disease. We'll
birds
talk
a
about that
different
one next.
disease.
So then there's this other disease. It's called intralaryngeal tracheitis, or ILT, infectious laryngotracheitis, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's a really nasty respiratory infection, and untreated, it'll kill most of your birds. And it just looks like it's a really nasty respiratory infection. You can tell they've got a really nasty respiratory infection.
Nose, ears,
Uh-huh.
eyes.
And so, yeah, I got some birds from Laura, and all of a sudden my birds got really sick and started dying. And the ILT is the same as the Merrick's. Once you have it in your flock and in your grounds, you've got it in your flock and in your grounds. Unlike the others, I don't think there's no vaccine for it, is there?
No.
That we know.
Well, no, I don't think there is. No, wait a minute. Thinking, brain thinking. You know what? I'm going to Google it. You keep talking. I'm going to Google.
Oh, there you go. Thank
Okay.
God for Google. Here, hang on. I have two articles on it. One of them should tell me something.
Well, okay. Let's see who gets there first.
Let's see. There's no treatment effective against ILT, but antibiotics may be used to control secondary infections in severe cases.
There we go.
There is a vaccine. And this is when things got complicated, because all of a sudden they went all clinical on me. There's a chick embryo origin, whatever that is, a tissue culture origin, and a pox vectored recombinant vaccine. I've never heard of them. We've just treated for it when we got it. The way you treat it is, like I said, there's no magic bullet for it. It's 1 cc of Mucinex, liquid Mucinex, with half of a mashed up baby aspirin in it. And you dose all of the affected birds twice a day for 5 days. First couple days it's really easy, and after they're starting to feel better, they get really hard to catch. But it works. It supports their respiratory system, because chickens birds breathe differently than other animals. They've got they double breathe. They've got an air sac, they've got like these lung tubules, and then they've got another air sac. So they bring air in through the tubules and then out through the tubules. So they use it twice. So anything that's mucking things up in there, they can suffocate really quickly, because they don't have, it's not a super efficient mechanism. So support is the big thing. And this will work for any respiratory infection too, because there's a bunch of them. ILT, Merrick's, and then there's avian influenza.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Which is bad.
Yeah, we've gotten some information. It's bad.
Yeah, HPAI. So, again, the thing about a lot of chicken diseases. Oh look. Oh, and then I've got the website. Yes. I'll pass this around if you want to write things down. This is a list of helpful websites. I will send this out. Avian influenza, it's highly contagious among birds, and as we know, it's starting to affect other animals. They're finding some dead bears and some dead mountain lions and stuff who the necropsies have shown that they died from AI. So we've got that. A lot of chicken diseases look pretty similar. You know, they're pale, they're depressed, their eyes are, you know, they're gunky, they've got watery stools. So it's a fine line in your diagnostic capacities. Avian influenza, the most prevalent symptom is all of a sudden your birds start dropping dead. You can lose your whole flock in 24 hours. If you suspect avian influenza, this is what they call a reportable disease. You gotta call the Department of Livestock and let them know, and they will come out and they will cull your whole flock. And they may cull your neighbor's flocks. So I have a feeling there are a lot of people who are not reporting this. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. So,
I have a question. This is a little morbid, but that just makes me think, if your birds get one of these diseases and they die, what do you do then with the bodies? Can you bury them, or do you?
Yeah.
Oh, you can? Okay. Even if they're diseased?
Yeah, but put them in a garbage can. Yeah. So, yeah, you can dispose of them. I wouldn't put them out where other birds could eat them. Yeah. But, yeah, because a lot of these diseases, no matter what we do, they're going to come in because the wild birds suffer from all birds suffer from the same suite of diseases, and they just pass them around. So when we send this out, there's contact information for avian influenza. If you suspect avian influenza, don't pick up the birds. That was the one thing. Just call the Department of Livestock. Particularly if you're starting to see dead wild birds, call this. Okay, so there's a distinction. If it's your birds that are dying, you call the Department of Livestock. If it's wild birds that are dying, you call Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. So if you are seeing a lot of dead wild birds, you call Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, because they want to know about it and they want to come and collect them all, because they don't want the scavengers eating them and getting sick too. And I've got phone numbers and everything in here for everybody.
Let's hope you never have to use those numbers.
Yep. Okay, that's all the diseases we were worried about.
Any disease questions?
I have a question about the chorrid. So you said do it once a year for a week as kind of like a preventative.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have like your new birds and let's say you get them vaccinated when they're day old, how soon? Like,
Good. You just
question.
said something that just
Very important.
brings us back around.
Yes.
Okay, good.
If you get them vaccinated against coccidia, don't feed them any of this stuff or the medicated feed, because it offsets the vaccination.
I think you did say that in the first one, but
yes.
I
And
didn't-
the other thing is, if you have waterfowl, this will kill them. So you don't want to feed, if you've got ducks or geese, you don't want to feed them medicated chick feed, and you don't want to feed them water with this in it.
So this would just be if you have unvaccinated birds.
Yes.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And once they're, like I said, the vaccination is to provide them with a basis for building their immunity, not to keep them from getting it.
Right.
So it's still not a bad idea. Once that the vaccination doesn't last forever. So after the first year, like every spring, you may want to, if you're not getting new birds, you may want to prophylactically dose the flock just to keep everything going, because the wild birds that come in the spring are all in kind of low condition because they've come, bazillions of miles to get here, and they're probably shedding a lot of internal parasites. And I'd like to see anyone who can keep a sparrow out of their chicken house. So
yeah,
they're going to transmit this stuff. Okay. So we've done external parasites, internal parasites. You want to talk about being egg bound? Because I don't think I've ever had an egg bound chicken.
Oh, I've had an egg-bound chicken, and it's not good. Okay, so has anybody heard of egg-bound? Do you know what it means? Okay, it's when the egg is being formed and the shell is put on and it's coming down, it gets stuck or bound, and I can't tell you, yeah, I guess there'd be different places within the oviduct that it would get stuck. However, what happens, it gets stuck and they can't move it along. At some point it will break, and then they will develop, and I know the name of it, it's peritonitis, so, which will of course will kill them. So if you have a chicken that's egg bound, you've got a couple of choices. The first one is you want to help them try to get the egg out without breaking the egg. And I have known people who have put on rubber gloves and Vaseline and gone in. Where's one of my exhibits? Where's exhibit A? Oh, it's over there. Okay. And actually
they heard you.
Yeah, go in through
The vent.
the vent. Thank you. I was looking vent. Okay, got it. Go in through the vent and try to just loosen the skin up so that hopefully that egg can come out. And with the Vaseline, it gives a little bit of the slipperiness to it, lubrication, and you can do that. And sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. If it doesn't come out, or if the egg breaks, the best thing you can do is put the bird down. It's the most humane thing.
It's not gonna survive.
It's not going to survive. And this doesn't happen that often.
Like I said, I've never had an egg bound chicken.
How do you know it's happening?
Because they're trying to lay it. They're struggling and struggling and struggling.
Like you can just see them maybe like, I don't know what they look like when they lay.
Squatting, they're going to squat, and they're going to look like they're trying to pass a bowel movement is what it looks like. They're just, and it's not, and they just keep doing it, and nothing is happening. And then they start to get real pale. They're you could tell they're in discomfort because they're just not responding. So it's, you just know there's something is wrong. But when you watch a bird try to lay an egg and it is not happening, and it has not been happening for a while.
Like a couple days?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You want to really, I would take, if it was my bird, or when it was my bird that this actually happened to, you want to crate her separately. Give her a safe place, calm, quiet place to be, so that if you have to try to get an egg out, and so the other birds won't peck her. Because lots of times, if they're sick, the other birds know it, and they can be just vicious.
They'll eat them.
Yeah, yeah. They'll take them out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's if you have a chicken with any kind of visible injury, separate them from the flock.
Absolutely.
And you can tell when a bird's getting bullied if it's got a problem, because it'll be in the corner of the chicken of the laying house usually.
Trying to isolate itself.
Yeah.
I've heard for egg-bound chickens, you can also give it a bath, like salsa bath or something.
Okay.
You can
put his bum or lower half.
Okay.
Give it a bath and sort of loosen up. I don't know if that. I haven't tried it.
You know, it doesn't hurt. Why
it doesn't
not?
hurt.
Yeah.
But I think a pure physical intervention is really what you need, though, because I don't know how hot and how long I'd have to soak it in the Epsom salts for the good of that to soak all the way into where that egg is.
Yeah. But
the other thing, I mean, you could use you can use a syringe and olive oil and stuff like that to try and get it going if you're not interested in sticking your finger up there. You know, I mean, so there are all kinds of things you can try. I don't know what the success rate is if you have an egg-bound hen.
What causes that?
These chickens have been bred for hundreds of years to lay eggs, and so they just overdo it because they're not the base model isn't designed for the level of production that we've bred into them.
So it just happens or something.
Yeah. There's nothing anybody did wrong. It just happens.
Oh, what's next?
Okay. Anything else? Any other? What was that? Basic health issues. I mean, if you think of anything, just yell it out at any point.
Any amount of weird chicken information in our brains. So
yeah, we're full of it in more ways than one.
All questions are in the wheelhouse.
Okay. How about flock enrichment? I made that title
Kitchen scraps. And hay.
Well, okay. Healthy treats. So this is just some basic stuff. Mealworms, like what we had here, donated by Axman. Any seeds? I don't think there's any seeds that would be a bad choice. Are there any that you can think of that would be poisonous? Okay. All right. So
unless they're toxic to us, they're toxic to the chickens.
Yeah. If you wouldn't
Cherry
need
pits, peach pits, plum pits.
Okay.
I've lost crows to apricot pits.
Okay,
Ooh,
because
okay.
it's got cyanide.
Cyanide in the seed. Okay.
Yeah. So know that. Don't throw the stone fruit specifically. So the seed inside the pit of the stone fruit, do not throw that because they do. I know the cherries do, apricots do.
Any fruit that has internal seeds has a little bit of its
cyanide in it? Okay.
Apple seed,
yeah.
too,
Yeah.
There's not enough to really do anything unless you're feeding like a
bushel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we lost wild crows to apricot seeds and didn't even think about it until.
Okay. So.
Doesn't seem to hurt the deer any.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Kitchen scraps. I think we touched pretty much, and actually, we have an entire presentation, which is another, probably 6 hours on just gardening with your chickens, and that takes all the scraps and what's poisonous and what isn't into it. So we'll touch on the basics, but we won't go into the huge part because Tenzin may want to set up another.
We'll see.
Okay, if people are interested, it's really interesting. We thought it was. Okay, treat blocks. Treat blocks you can buy at any store, Murdoch's, Cenex, any of the ones that carry your basic chicken supplies. You can buy treat blocks for them. You can also make your own homemade treat blocks.
Yes, if you can Google it, and there's all kinds of recipes.
Yeah.
They're usually gelatin based.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can make little ones, just in a cup with seeds and stuff.
And one of the things that's really good with that is that if it's wintertime and they're bored, like I don't know about you, but my chickens will not go out if it's snowing. Even if I've sprinkled, something for them to walk on, they'll just sit there, look out, and go back in. So a treat block is kind of a nice diversion for them, and you can even put it and hang it from so that they have to actively participate in getting it by jumping or just being interactive, and that's a really good thing for winter, and it's fun to make them. So,
and you can also do that with like a head of cabbage. You can bore a hole through it and put a string through it and hang it in the coop. Or you can get, for larger small animals, they've got the little the metal wire balls that you put treats in, and they've got to try and pull stuff out, like for rabbits and things. You can do that too. Things that keep them busy.
The Kong thing for chickens.
Kind of.
Yeah. I think we got one right there. See, it thinks that's food.
Well, it knows it's food. Just can't get in it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's pecking at this.
We are growing. We're gonna grow a bunch of sunflowers, and we're gonna dry heads and hang hang them, and we're gonna probably sell them for chickens.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
For the winter, so
Uh-huh.
rather than you have chickens and then circle back around.
Yeah.
We're working on that. So.
Yep.
And another thing that's really good, especially in the winter, and it does keep them busy and it gives them additional nutrients, is some good alfalfa hay.
And buy a bale of it. Don't buy it in the little bags
Yeah.
at the store, because you're paying about your markups like orders of magnitude.
And we're not talking about, do not buy grass hay because they can't eat it. Don't buy alfalfa that's nothing but stalks because they can't eat it. You want the good heads on the alfalfa.
so that's like a third cutting.
You're asking, yeah, I don't know. But it's just get it where they, so that what you do is take a big handful of it and just throw it in the coop or throw it somewhere in the wintertime, and they will just have a quote-unquote field day with it. And they love it. And it's just good nutrition. And again, it's like the flock block. It kind of keeps them entertained and busy.
Yep. Okay.
Activities.
Things to do with your chickens.
Oh, I had so much fun with that. I had to do some Googling on it.
Yeah.
Free range is always good. I think it was, okay, Bianca, Katie.
Yep.
Okay, Katie, you had asked me earlier about letting your birds wander, and I said to some extent, because it can be dangerous for them. But if you have free range birds in a safe area, like look at how much the chickens were having such a good time over here, so they're staying in their area, they're being monitored. They're having a great time. They're getting exercise. They're getting different foods to eat, chasing the worms, fresh grasses, just being busy. This is really healthy, and it's a good activity for them. It's what they should be doing. And you're also getting a lot more nutrients for the eggs that you're going to be eating. Movable coop. Now that is just, a lot of people swear by these. And you can put it on the lawn, you can put it wherever your birds are going to have something to do. And of course, when they are in a movable coop, they're leaving behind fertilizer each place you move them to. So that's a great idea. The only thing I always tell people is, if you have a moving coop and you're leaving it outside during the day and it's hot, make sure they've got food. Well, food is not as important, but it's still, I would throw something in there. Water and shade. So if you're going to put them out, make sure they've got water and shade, if nothing else, and then let them enjoy the little area that they're in.
How big the area needs to be, like?
You don't need a lot of space. I mean, with a chicken tractor, they're what, maybe depending on, for 6 birds, let's say, what, about like this, and maybe that with some wheels, and you can just.
And does it have like a roof? I'm just curious, like,
There are
like if you leave it at like.
I wonder if that. Let's see if there's some
like
pictures.
predators and you.
Yeah, so this is something you don't leave, you only put them in during the day, and you make sure it's down tight on the ground, because you're right, predators, we already talked about stuff that can happen during the day. So you don't want something digging under.
Oh, nice.
So you could just do something like this.
Yeah, those, so simple. You can get all the everything you
This one-
needed at like Home Resource.
Oh, you could put 6
and a
birds in there.
staple gun or something
and then it's
more,
just, you know,
as long
just
as, like I said,
to
you're
scale,
not doing
basically.
it for
That's probably
overnight.
the simplest. This one's attached to the little chicken house there. They've got a little chicken run, but
Okay. So
just real
those things are
simple.
great. Any other coop questions?
You know, and you can build them. You put handles on them. You can put wheels on
You
them.
have to attach them to the ground, right?
Well, I say if it's really lightweight, I would say do something that it would at least hold it down. Because of the pressure, or if the wind came up and blew it over, you know, your chickens
I wouldn't
are
leave
gonna
them in it. I wouldn't leave them in it at night. That's for sure. Because around here, because of the bears and everything, the bears will find it. See, and then you can buy ones like this.
Oh, nice.
Nope. So
I'm
just
going to
do
look
the
up something because
store-bought
this
one.
is way too much fun.
And then there was another one that I like. It's an A-frame, and it's not on wheels or anything, and it's the whole thing. And you just kind of pack it around. There we go. Here. See? And the run is in the bottom. So, and then you've got like handles, and you get 2 people on it, just pick it up and move it.
That's cool.
This guy here.
Oh, so it just like pops up.
Okay.
You just pick up the whole thing.
I have a question. I know you mentioned you have a whole presentation about gardening with.
See that red one in the corner
Yes.
there?
I'm curious, like, is it okay to have them? I mean, are they going to destroy anything in your garden?
The red one.
Or are they-
It depends on what you're growing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Gardening with your chickens is...
Dust
You don't wanna
baths.
just, like,
Dust baths. No, they will find your perennials. They destroyed my asparagus bed. The only perennials I had in the garden at the time, and they they found the asparagus. They just destroyed it. They'll build dust baths. They like sit up at night and plot where the absolute least convenient place they can put a dust bath is in the yard. So
Okay, I'm trying... Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let's see. Is this it? Come on, baby.
let's see if there were any.
Okay, pass this
Oh,
around.
and it comes with music.
This is... Oh, yeah, well... this... Activities. So we're talking activities. This is a chicken swing I'm sending around. Chickens love the chicken swing. Who would think? Who would think? And it's a really, I know a lady who put one in, and she actually did a video of her chicken on the swing, and they fight for who's going to get on it next. So it's a really cool thing to entertain your birds, entertain you, and just something a little different. And you don't have to be fancy about it. Even they have it with really simple stuff. And yeah. I mean, you can do so much with that. And then, I got to do the.
And then I've seen them. They use old bicycle wheels, and just put it on a spindle, so it'll. If it gets offset a little bit, it starts spinning. So if the chicken gets up on it, it starts going around. And
Something to do.
you know.
But wait, there's more.
But Laura's got more stuff.
Video. Okay. Yeah. This is just. I'm obviously entertaining myself as much as you. I'm gonna get rid of the. Oh, here we go. Okay. Here you go. Let's see if I can get it.
Oh, that's awesome.
There we go. So, you want your bird, and who knows? Maybe your birds can go to Juilliard.
Oh, this is the chicken xylophone.
They may be in the.
They can clean their own vents. They're not going to Julia.
Dang! Till they can wipe their own vents.
So much fun stuff though. Like I'm on TikTok and I always come across like somebody with chickens doing something wild that you wouldn't think of, or like repurposing something for a chicken run. Like
Yeah.
My favorite one I just saw is the like tomato cages like Caitlin has. You put a zucchini on each one of the like spikes.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
just like peck at it and it like gleams. And so zucchinis, if you have a garden, that's the thing that we all have way too many of by the end of the season.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was a really creative way to use your zucchinis.
Yeah.
On the tomato cages, you just kind of like stick one on each of the spikes and then they peck at it. And I was like, that's genius. So simple. They're not the smartest things in the world, and they have fun with something real simple like that.
Yeah.
Like this one over here, pecking at the same bag for an hour.
Hey.
We call that easily entertained.
Right,
Yeah.
totally.
So those are just things you can do not only to entertain yourselves, but keep your chickens busy, and it's just something fun. I think repurposing a lot of stuff for your birds is just a great idea, and they're chickens.
One that just came to mind is the guts in your pumpkins.
Oh yeah.
Around Halloween.
Oh, they love
Instead
it.
of, like I mean, obviously, I want to eat the pumpkin seeds too, but the guts with the seeds.
Yeah.
That would be a good one, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they
yeah.
love
They love
that.
that. They love that.
Yeah.
And they say you'll read that the pumpkin seeds have a natural anthelmintic in them, which means anti-wormer, but it's in such minute quantities that it's not really, it doesn't have any effect. I mean, they'd have to eat so many pumpkin seeds, it's ridiculous. So you'll see that sometimes, but it's not, it's kind of a red herring.
What? No, not the road. Why did the chicken cross the road?
There's just not enough stuff in here.
You want help?
Okay.
Can run for it. I love how they all get together though.
Oh yeah, they're like multiple. You know, when you have twins or triplets,
Yeah.
they may get in a lot of trouble, but at least they're all in the same place.
Look at them go.
There's one by the wood.
There's one hiding behind the bush.
And Bertha's here. She's
Still on the
good.
same.
She might be the smartest one.
Okay.
Whoops. I think that was mine. Okay.
So we're up to
coop waste.
coop waste.
Coop waste. What? Say again.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Like, is that something you need to create for them, or do they just do it?
Oh, they can make their own.
Oh yeah.
Is that just dirt? Or
Pretty much. You can amend it, and they like it. I will add ashes, and
Good job.
sometimes if
Good girls. Well,
I think they need it, I'll put like some of this stuff in there.
or diatomaceous
Or
earth.
diatomaceous. Diatomaceous earth is a good one, but the ashes kind of
Yeah.
perform the
Ashes
same
are great.
function.
Wood ash. Wood ash mixed into soil for a dust bath. It's a preventative for
Management.
parasites.
It's management.
It
It doesn't prevent them.
No, it's not a. Okay, it's a. All right, management.
Self-management, because what it does is it helps it scrapes up the shells on the little bugs and they desiccate more easily. So it helps the birds manage it. And like I said, I'll put some of this stuff, the poultry dust, in there too, just as an added whammy. You need to make sure it's in a well-ventilated area because, again, like I said earlier, they have very sensitive respiratory systems, so it's got to be able to dissipate rapidly.
One thing I do want to say, if you're using it on adult birds, layers, there is no withdrawal time on this that I remember. I don't think so.
No.
So again, read the labels. Don't always believe everything we tell you.
And
read
withdrawal time.
What?
We have to explain what that means.
What? Read the labels?
Withdrawal time.
Oh, withdrawal time, right.
Withdrawal time is if the medication, if you're using it according to the label directions, it will tell you whether or not there is a withdrawal time. And what that means is the amount of time you have to wait between when you administer the medication until you can start using the eggs. Some medications, because whatever's in the medication gets into the egg, they tell you not to eat them for 5 days or 10 days or whatever after you administer the medication.
So that's just something you always want to check. If any medications you're using on your birds, always check and see if there's a withdrawal time or if there's going to be other side effects to it that you need to be aware of.
So I can give my chicken Xanax and then
Hey,
to work.
if they're happy, just laying there going, yeah, baby.
I like
It
the way you
works.
think.
I'm trying to put it in the Brita filter, but if I can feed, everybody loves free eggs.
Oh,
Feed them Xanax, see if it comes through in the eggs.
oh my God.
No,
That's
don't
great.
do that.
Oh.
Okay. Any other additional questions right now before we move on to what to do with all this waste you've got? Okay. Okay. Do you want to hit that one,
Coop
Kristin?
waste.
What?
Yes.
Go.
Chicken poop, of course, you can buy it for a princely sum at the garden center, or you can manufacture your own. you can, all of the waste that the chickens make, you can put in your compost pile. The wood chips and everything. Straw you've got to be careful with because it's almost always been treated with something. Even if it's organic, it's been treated with something. It's persistent in the soil for a number of years generally. So straw, unless you're planning on leaving it there for 3 years or so, I wouldn't compost it. Laura only uses chips in her runs, and I'm actually going to go to that myself. And then she also uses, she uses a liner. She uses lumber wrap because it's free. And you can get it from, you know, the wholesale building centers. You can also use the wrap that the Tyvek is a really good one. And it lasts for a really long time. And you put it down underneath, and then when you want to clean, you pull everything out. I have like my roosts are removable. And then you just pick the whole thing up, and you can cart it over to your compost pile and dump it, and then put the Tyvek back on the floor of the chicken coop. And that's really slick. And then you compost that all winter, and you've got some great stuff to put in your garden in the spring.
How often do you need to clean it out?
That's a really good question because it depends on how big your coop is, how many chickens you've got, and what time of year it is.
Generally, I'll run by the level of ammonia.
Yeah, if you smell any.
If I can smell it, if it's starting to get smelly, I got to clean it. You're not going to increase or decrease sort of the bacterial and other parasitic viral loads necessarily by cleaning, you know, once a month or once a week or once every 3 months or whatever. But the gas, the ammonia is the most critical element because, again, they've got delicate respiratory systems and a high ammonia level makes them uncomfortable. And since they're the closest to the poop, it's gonna affect them more than it would affect you. So it's one of those. It's a very subjective thing. But you don't want to let it get too awful bad. And when it's really muddy and stuff like this time of year, you might want to do it a little more often because everything gets really messy. But it's just real subjective. Okay, so that was a waste.
It was?
Pests.
Okay.
No, waste. WASTE, not.
Thank you.
Not the other kind.
Okay.
So coop pests, mice.
Oh.
If you get the right kind of chickens love mice. They will hunt the mice down, which is very satisfying. But a lot of them won't. And at night, the mice will come out and chew on their feathers.
Yes.
And we see birds with this at the fair every year, and it's real distinctive because it looks like someone's gone and just bitten off their feathers. You know, their flight feathers, their tail feathers. With like a pair of nail clippers almost. So you can use poison. A water bucket trap is really good.
Yeah.
We've used them. They're incredibly successful because you've just got like a spinning dowel over a bucket of water with the ramp up to the dowel, and you put peanut butter all over the dowel, and they go out on the dowel, and it rolls over, and they fall in the water and drown.
Oh, I see.
Or you don't have to put water in the bucket, and you can do something else with the mice. But that's the non-chemical way of doing it.
And it does work. It does work. We have an overabundance of mice. If mice were a commodity, I'd be a millionaire. But we have a lot of mice. So what I've been trying to do is, unfortunately, I have to poison my mice, and I use those poison blocks, but I keep them out of where my chickens are. And so far, the mice that have died that I've seen the little bodies of have been way away from where the chickens are, because if the chickens were to eat the mice that had already ingested the poison, it's going to poison the chickens. So I'm really cautious about that because I don't want, I've got to get rid of the mice. I mean, it's not just that they're come into the coop. Oh no, they live up in the ceiling of the coop and I can't get rid of them. And the only way to do it successfully is to clean the whole coop out, get all the birds out, clean everything out, poison everything so that it gets rid of the mice, and then I'd be okay. But I can't do that at this point. So now I'm just trying to handle it as best I can now. I know it's cruel, and I don't know what else to tell you, but they're nasty, and they carry hantavirus.
Yes.
So honestly, you do not want mice in your coop, and if you can even smell them, you probably have too many mice in your coop.
If you can smell them, you got a lot of mice.
Yeah. It's true. So that's just a note.
Insects, bugs. I don't have a lot of bugs. I get flies.
You get flies?
You know, but
really? Huh. Okay.
Well, that's because they're right next to the pasture too. So.
Oh well, that makes sense. Okay.
I don't have a lot of trouble with bugs. I mean, there's the mites and the lice and stuff, and I'll put some of the powder in the nesting boxes just so that they're not swapping bugs quite so frequently. But we don't have a lot of bugs here that raise any alarms yet. There are species of mites that only feed at night, and then they leave the birds and hide in all the little cracks and crevices during the day. And they're almost impossible to get rid of, and they're really bad.
Is that the
red mites?
Red mites?
Now we did have someone come to the fair a couple of years ago who said they'd had red mites, and their description was right on. And that was someone down the Bitterroot, and it sent us into a panic for a while, but we've never heard anything about it since. So it may have been a one-off that she just brought some birds in, had some birds that came in from further south that brought them with them, and that they were confined to just that coop, and that hopefully they're all died off by now. So.
Yeah, so honestly, the only way, if you can clean your coop once a year, if you can. Not everybody is able to do this, not everybody needs to do it. My coop is older and it's old wood. I try once a year to get all the birds out on a really hot day. Get them all out, spray bleach, like a 10% solution, the entire interior of the coop. Let it dry, put everything back in again, so it should be pretty clean. That at least gets rid of some stuff. It may not necessarily kill any of the mites in it, but at least the coop's cleaner. Anything else about cleaning your coop? Any other questions on that? No? Okay. So Kristin, is it okay to move on?
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
do the last part. I don't even know, what time is it? We're having such a good time here. Okay. Okay.
Oh, we're perfect.
Oh, hot dog. Okay.
How'd that happen?
So, how to train, okay, well this is perfect. Come here, sweetheart. All right, so one of the really good things you want to do is train your birds that you are you looking for?
I'm looking for the worms.
Over here? These ones?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
Because this is oyster shell. You don't want to.
yeah, no, I wasn't going to give her oyster shell. It was actually, here, let go of that. Do you want to say anything to speak to the camera? There you go. Okay. She needs a mic. Open that and see if we can. If she will take a treat from you. Oh, look, mealworms, yum.
See, look at this. Woo. Here.
Oh, there we go.
Because you can treat like the little saramas. One of the ways you teach them to stand up real straight like that is to dangle treats in front of them, so they have to reach for them. But anyway, here
You
you go.
want some more
There you go, babe.
mealworms?
See those?
Yeah. There. Oh boy! Oh
Nom
boy! Oh
noms.
boy! Oh boy!
Can you see them?
Here.
My hand's too close.
Okay. Look sideways.
One was enough.
One was. That was it. You want another one? No. Okay. So yeah. You want, if you can teach your birds to come take treats out of your hand, if you can teach them so that they are comfortable being picked up, like this bird. I just went and picked her up. She didn't care. This is really good because this gives you an opportunity to do a variety of things. Number one, your bird is comfortable with you. It feels safe with you. This is a good thing. Number two, if you think there may be a health issue, this is great because you don't want to stress your birds out by chasing them around, having to grab them to look them over. So this bird is calm. Now I can look her over, I can look at her wings, look at the vent, check her eyes, her ears, where are your little ears there, and just see if there's any health issues. Also, when you pick your bird up, this is another good way to check for your bird's health, is how full is their breast. And if they're really young, they're still developing their muscles. But this bird is mature, so she's over a year, so she's a hen. When you feel that muscle there, you know this bird is healthy. If you had a mature bird that was really thin and it was not normal for that breed, that's a problem. Your bird may have a health issue. So every time you pick your birds up, take it as an opportunity to just check their health, see how they're doing. It's just wise. It's just a wise thing to do, and your birds are used to being handled. Any questions on that?
I was just saying, people can practice with them. If they
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, your birds are great about that. And we did the treats. So we're at the end of what we were, our base talk. So I can't imagine that you
professionals. Don't try this at home.
Yeah, do try this at home.
But one other thing, if you have a bird that is stressed out when you pick it up, if I can get that out of the way.
Yeah, I had the same problem.
Stuff their head under your arm.
Yeah.
Because chickens, when it's dark, chickens shut down. That's why things can eat them at night, because they do not. It's the only comfort you get from it is they didn't know what happened, because they're basically, darkness is a general anesthetic for a chicken. If you have to treat bumblefoot, anything that requires something that's going to hurt, all you've got to do is wrap their head up so that they cannot see anything, and they will shut down, and you can do whatever you've got to do.
Like a little chicken hood?
Yeah. You could do that. Yeah, just if you're not tucking them under your or wrapping them up, this is a great way to do it, and they'll just calm down. Something that reminded me about the night thing. You already said it. Okay, we're good on that.
For the the treating, what's their? Do they smell it or do they see it? Like, with a dog, they'll just smell anything and they'll know to come to you. But for chicken, do they have to see the treat? Or
they're more visual.
They're more visual, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a nose. I don't know how well it works.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah.
So
you can tell as far as the health goes. If you pick up your bird, you can tell if it feels light. It's lighter than it should be. I mean, you'll know, and that's when you can tell. You can really feel the keel bone sticking out. Like this is a layer, so she's not going to have. I'll show you. You can feel
do the hands on
right in here. Okay. See, just feel the keel bone and the muscle on each side. This is pretty typical for a laying hen.
Okay.
Okay. If it's a more meaty breed, a bigger, they'll be more will be more well developed.
Chicken, and then I was seeing the anatomy in a different way. I was like, whoa,
Let's
I can
see.
feel all those things.
Yes. Yeah, and that's
so. This is this is a healthy bird.
Oh, very. Yeah.
Come back here.
She's our biggest layer. I mean, she lays the biggest eggs.
Yeah, because laying hens, they're like dairy cows. They put everything into the egg production, but you can feel on either side of the keel there that she's pretty well developed.
Oh, you know what we should do while you've got her,
What? Get untangled from my wires.
Kristen?
Uh-huh.
Show how to check if they're laying or not.
Oh, okay.
This is great.
Here.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you how the laying thing.
What would you like me to do?
Watch this. You don't have to do anything.
Okay.
So,
Stand there and look impressed.
okay.
That's nice.
I'll show you. If you feel right here where my fingers are, they feel two little bones. Feel the ends of two little bones? Okay. That's their pelvis. You want to be able, if they're laying, I can put at least two, oh, come here, three. Let me see, where are they? Three. God, I can almost get 4 fingers in there. 2, 3, 4. She's wide open. She's laying really well. If you can't get 2 fingers in between these 2 bones, I'll show you what I'm doing, okay? She's got 2 little bones right here.
So the pubic
Those
bones.
are the pubic bones. I need to be able to put at least 2 fingers in between to know that she's laying. I can get, she's laying. I can get 4 fingers in there.
It's like humans. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
she's
You're such a
dilated.
good girl. But yeah, you can.
Yeah. So one of them was having a problem laying, and
Where
I
did she go?
massaged that,
Uh-huh.
and then she
Yeah.
laid.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. She was like squawking a lot.
Oh, stop.
Oh, she's like, oh, I don't
I'm
like
done.
that.
I'm tired of it.
And you know what Tenzin had suggested with a warm bath? It's the same thing. It's a relaxation,
see the bones are
and
right here.
sometimes that can help too.
Can you feel
so
them right there? That you can feel
you know,
it
having
those
that
2
was a
bones?
good suggestion.
right there. See?
Yeah,
Those are
yeah,
the edges of her
pamper
pelvis.
session, yeah.
So that's where you want to see how many fingers can I put in between there.
Yeah.
Stop. Now she's getting cranky.
Oh, I can tell you a horror
come here.
story.
I'm going to turn you upside down, and you're
we
going to
have some
relax.
feedback forms. I know we're getting to the end here.
Right there.
This
Like
we
in-
only
in the
attended one
crevice?
You
workshop.
can feel,
just obviously
see there's a bone right there.
Yes.
And a bone right there.
Okay.
Those are them. Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
And
yeah.
you can tell. So I want to get at least 2 fingers in between like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're fine.
And I can get
You're
like 3 in there
You're
almost.
Okay, yeah.
You're fine.
Slide.
You're
Mm-hmm.
fine. You're fine. Yes.
I have
Okay.
questions about related to the chicks.
Yeah.
We have under the heat
They're right
lamp.
Yeah.
here.
These days have been like pretty hot,
Right, so
and we are.
you feel
gonna
there's a bone
see-
right
I was gonna,
there,
like,
and then there's one on the other side. And I want to be able to put at least 2 fingers in between
Okay.
it like
Bye,
that.
sweetie. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
So it's like they're like in week number 4. They still have 2 more weeks. We tried to like put the lamp a little higher, but they still like look uncomfortable.
You are doing a very good job observing your birds, and that is the main thing. Yes, they probably are. If they're looking unhappy or uncomfortable, it's probably too hot. You might want to put them in a bigger tub or bigger brooder. Same light, bigger brooder, so they can get farther away from it. Do that, and every week drop the temperature 5 degrees. So it should start at 95, and then just keep dropping it.
Oh, so that would be like maybe putting the lamp a little higher.
Right, or like I said, a bigger, so they can get away from it, and they've got so yeah, you want to start dropping that heat level, because otherwise it will stress them, because they are developing their feathers, and so they're building their natural protection, and if the heat stays the same, they're going to be really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Thank you.
So there's a bone right here, and then there's another one right over here.
So, oh yeah. So, did you learn everything you ever want to know about chickens, but were afraid to ask?